Hello, dear friends. We are stars wrapped in skin. The light you seek has always been within. Rumi. Opinion piece. The Seventh Trumpet. The Primary Anomaly. The 3D world is defective. Pleroma contamination. Not everyone loves our planet. You can get to heaven while being alive. Let's start. All of us, apocalyptic and integrated into mass society, as Umberto Eco would say, called denialists and conspiracy makers by adversaries, we have a faith unwavering that one day we will hear the sound of the seventh trumpet of the Great Revelation. It symbolizes the fulfillment of the divine will in the book of Revelation and the culmination of history. Its sound triggers a series of events, including the proclamation of divine reign. The seventh trumpet is also associated with the opening of the divine temple in heaven, where visions and final judgments are revealed. It speaks of divine wrath and the reward of the righteous. The seventh trumpet triggers a series of cosmic phenomena, such as lightning, thunder, a great earthquake, and the fall of hail. When the seventh trumpet sounds, it is declared that the kingdoms of the world have become our lords, and that he will reign forever and ever. This symbolizes the victory of light over the forces of evil and the establishment of this kingdom, of this eternal kingdom. And then the sign of the Son of Man will appear, and everyone will see the Messiah coming from the clouds with power and glory. Matthew 24:30. Explanation. Archangel Michael, channeled by Linda Dillon, says victory is coming and explains why all this conflict is happening according to Steve Biko. He asks us to shine our light into the darkest corners, and he says that everything discordant must come to the surface. It is perfectly understandable how this mental, emotional, and spiritual exhaustion affects many, but now is not the time to give up. This is not the time to go into battle either, but it is certainly not a moment of retreat, because what the servers of the light are doing is basically holding the line and radiating light towards some of the darkest situations of this collective called humanity. I call the humanity rather than Gaians because in this mix there are many who do not consider themselves Gaians, do not consider their home planet to be their home, this place of beauty, power, tranquility, and peace. In many ways, they consider it a hotel room and will simply move on after having destroyed what is beautiful, valuable, and sacred. Catharsis. The problem is that everything that needs to be healed in this black hole we call chaos has to come to the surface. It is necessary for everything to come to the surface so that this subtle and real residue cannot erupt again. Otherwise, what happens is that there is a superficial remedy, and then the human collective tends to think that everything is fixed, but everything would rot again if the negative mental residue called vasanas is not at rest. A vasana is an unconscious force of negative karmic imprint that affects character, produces an automatic response, and influences irrational behavior. The word vasana comes from Sanskrit and means past mental impressions. It is a technical term in Indian philosophy, particularly yoga, as well as Buddhist and Advaita Vedanta philosophy. Vasanas can be good or bad. For example, responding with love when someone is in need, or conversely, responding defensively because a situation triggered a negative memory. In other words, a vasana is the automatic response to situations as an ingrained pattern of behavior. Primary anomaly. The primary anomaly of the matrix or samsara are concepts that relate to the notion of liberation or escape from the cycle of suffering and rebirth. Samsara refers to the endless cycle of birth, death, and reincarnation that an individual experiences over multiple lives. The soul is believed to go through this cycle in its search for liberation from suffering and ignorance. Samsara is considered an illusion, as souls are trapped in this cycle due to their attachment to earthly life and worldly desires. Samsara is associated with human suffering and is seen as the result of ignorance and desire. Liberation from samsara is sought through the attainment of nirvana, which is a state of enlightenment and liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Pollution. The idea of the contamination of the pleroma is related to specific concepts of Gnostic philosophy. Gnosticism is characterized by the belief in the existence of secret knowledge or gnosis that allows spiritual liberation. The pleroma is the divine or spiritual realm, which is considered complete and perfect. It is in contrast to the cosmos or material world, which is seen as imperfect and corrupt. In Gnostic cosmology, the pleroma is believed to be the abode of divine and spiritual beings, while the cosmos is the result of a process of emanation or fall from the pleroma. Pleroma contamination refers to the idea that at some point something or someone from the pleroma separated or fell into the material world, leading to the creation of the cosmos and the introduction of imperfections and corruption into this divine realm. The notion of contamination of the pleroma related to the Gnostic idea that the material world is primarily defective and that the search for gnosis or spiritual knowledge is a means to free oneself from this reality and return to the divine pleroma. Reflections. Just before moving to a new higher frequency, there is always a tower moment to eliminate everything whose vibrations do not match where we are going. If a lot of things are falling apart right now, you are creating space for more light to enter. God help us, prays an American warrior. When the enemy comes like a flood, God will raise a banner against them. We have a flood all over the world and it scans. The devil and all the fallen angels are condemned to eternal torment in the lake of fire called hell, and they all want humanity to go too. The enemy's plans are so extensive and devastating that it seems they would succeed unless God intervenes and saves us. God has already intervened for us once and will do so again. You can get to heaven while you are alive, says Victor. It is a real kingdom and I have been there, he says. You can go there and you don't have to wait until you die. It is there and now, and you do not see it because you have forgotten your true being. You cannot enter if you do not vibrate in the free frequency of heaven. No religion is required to get to heaven. What is needed is forgiveness and healing. The sky seems like an infinitely large space. It feels great and perfect, and when it is empty, it feels like floating on water and is full of love. Reset News. Elon Musk says we are running out of conspiracy theories that didn't turn out to be true. According to Leo Hohmann, the World Cup beasts have planned another shock event in pursuit of the 4Ds: digitalization, deshumanization, destruction, and depopulation. Media persecution in Spain against voices not subject to the official narrative of the single thought. Curious. Science fiction becomes reality. Russian laser weapons successfully tested in combat. How can the prophecy of the wolf lie down with the lamb manifest if we eat meat? Lao Tzu made the argument that many centuries ago that the leader of an army should never lead his troops beyond the immediate reach of supply wagons. Archbishop Vigano and Mel Gibson sound the alarm over the genocide of Armenian Christians, according to Stephen Cox. The black nobility of Venice and Genoa were the recipients of the largest transfer of wealth in the last 2 millennia, and they play an important role in this multi-century epic. They amassed an unprecedented accumulation of wealth, beginning several centuries before the Rothschild banking clan opened its first account. USA. State of emergency is declared in New York due to a strong storm. RFK Jr. plans to announce his independent candidacy on October 9th in Pennsylvania. 7,000 Ford and General Motors workers will join the sector's strike. Elon Musk is quietly preparing to collect biometric information and work history data from all users. Solar-powered drones will fly constantly in search of self-sufficient communities. A NASA rover detects a hat-shaped rock on the surface of Mars. Is it a petrified hat? Americas. Putin says that the Americans will have a leading role in world politics. Latin Americans, or Ibero-Americans. Mexico asks to the US to stop investigating in weapons for Ukraine, to stop investing in weapons for Ukraine, and allocate those resources to Central America and the Caribbean. Obesity and overweight affects 75% of Mexicans. Recreated the most terrifying sound in the world that set the scene for Aztec human sacrifices. The whistle of death imitates heart-breaking screams and reaches 1,000 deaths. Argentina on the way to reducing the working day. The Senate of Argentina approves a law that eliminates the tax on high salaries. The Argentine free market facing the government and the banks. Clementina 21, the Argentine supercomputer that will take science to another level. Areas of Machu Picchu will be closed due to wear and tear. Shrimp sells more than oil in Ecuador. Cameroons. Tension is growing between Venezuela and Guyana over the sovereignty and resources of Essequibo. Unemployment in Brazil falls to 7.8%, the best figure since 2015. Indigenous groups in Brazil denounced the demarcation of ancestral lands before the UN. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.